Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot. My name is Laura, and these will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of August 2022. So this reading will be for Sagittarius Sun, Moon, and Rising. And by all means, if you know your three major placements, feel free to listen to any and all of the readings that apply, as each one of them may resonate for you differently. And as always, do keep in mind these readings are general in nature and they are designed to kind of connect with a more broad collective of individuals. So not every detail that comes through will necessarily make sense for you. That's why I highly encourage you to take anything and everything that does resonate, however that connects or makes sense for your specific situation. Keep an open mind to the messages that come through, and you can simply leave the rest. So Sagittarius, I hope you're all doing well. I hope your summer has been wonderful and that you've been taking some time to relax and enjoy. I am super excited to be here with you, and I'm super grateful for you being here and sharing this time and space with me. We are now in Leo season, and in the spirit of that, I've decided to kind of revamp the reading. I'm doing something completely different, throwing structure to the wind. And instead of focusing on like a general energy and block and how to overcome that this month, we are actually going to be giving you a pep talk from the universe, because I feel like that's very much Leo energy. We can all use a pep talk, some encouragement, some recognition of our strengths. So that's going to be the focus. Your oracle card is going to represent your strength for this month, your gifts, what is being, kind of highlighted for you. And then we'll pull some tarot. And I am going to share with you the channeled messages as always, but instead of starting the reading, I'm actually just going to jump right into the cards, and I will share your channeled messages at the end of the reading after we've read your tarot cards and before we get your affirmations and your final oracle advice. So with that being said, I will just share with you, as I was preparing for your reading and connecting to your energy, two words and kind of concepts, feelings, if you will, that came through most prominently were clarity and freedom. And so that immediately is kind of like this light energy, and that immediately kind of resonated with the idea that the truth will set you free. Right? So you may be finding yourself coming into new realizations, a new level of awareness, maybe connection to new truths that are inevitably going to help you feel a little bit lighter, connect with a little bit more freedom. It was a really nice energy, and I kind of got the sense that it might help you connect a little bit more with some more understanding and kindness and compassion for yourself. So that's kind of like a promising vibe to start this all off on. So we'll get right into your oracle message. So you've got number 44, and the card is Thinker. Okay. And so, like I said, the oracle message this month is actually representing you and your strength, your blessings, your gift for this month, the energy that is highlighted. And first off, I will say, since we've got card number 44, 4 could be a significant number to you. Maybe it's a number that you see quite often. I would also be mindful of repeating 4. So it's like seeing the number 44, seeing 444 on the clock, that kind of stuff. If you're somebody that pays attention to like angel numbers, repeating numbers, 4 is also like a very foundational, very solid number. It's kind of like structure, stability. It can be like, the 4 corners of a foundation. So you might be feeling a little bit more solid this month, feeling like you've kind of developed, or you are developing a firm base or foundation to kind of build something really long lasting upon. And then of course, 4 and 4 is 8. So that is a number of kind of like power, interconnectedness, connected cycles, karma, give and take, things balancing out. It's also a number of like, strength and power. So that could be a point of connection for you as well. And of course, we're in the 8th month of the year, so it could be also connected just to the overall energy of August. So the beauty of this Thinker card, I don't know. It's interesting because I do find Sagittarians, at least most of the ones that I know, they tend to be, you know, for fire signs, like pretty analytical, rational. Like there's a really great sense of like not analysis in like a stifled way, but from like a curious point of view, like in a reflective way. So I really love that for you. And it's kind of like your natural curiosity is going to be kind of highlighted in terms of your thought and analysis. So your gift this month, Sagittarius, is your ability to see things in a logical, rational, analytical way, and to kind of see the pieces of the puzzle, how they fit together, what picture that's creating, and to kind of understand maybe not only your place and your role in that, but the role of others. So the vibe that I'm kind of getting from this energy being highlighted and this showing up as your strength is, it's like you're going to have the ability to kind of like to see all those little pieces. So I kind of feel like your observational skills, your understanding, your problem solving skills are really going to be highlighted because you have the power of thought and logic on your side. And I would say, especially if you are somebody who experiences a lot of emotions, if there's a lot of sensitivity, you may find that that is taking a back seat to logic and analysis, or that you're maybe a little bit better able to kind of take a grounded, logical approach to situations that otherwise have been maybe riddled with emotions, or maybe a little bit complex or muddled because of the depth in terms of connection. Maybe what you're up against is something that's really deeply rooted in like in your emotional foundations or something like that. But you have the ability to really make some progress in terms of either solving problems, handling situations, kind of finding the best way forward for you. So whatever you're experiencing, whatever's kind of coming into your reality this month, I think that you're really going to be able to make the most out of it. And you can kind of flip that energy around and make it work for you. So if there's a specific problem that you're trying to solve, if there's something that has been on your mind, something that's been weighing on you, you may be, in fact, coming into a new level of understanding or clarity, or a new way of perceiving it, and being able to kind of see like, what is the most logical way to resolve this situation, or what are the most like rational steps forward that you can take to kind of start making progress and affecting change in that specific situation. And so I think that like the vibe, that like the thing that is coming through for me is that it can be really, really difficult to figure out what steps to take and to approach things in a more logical perspective if we're feeling a little bit off balance emotionally, or if it's like a very emotionally charged experience or situation, something that kind of triggers us, or that's really, that means a lot, there's a lot of weight behind it. It can be really hard to kind of disconnect from the emotional weight and the emotional investment and implications of specific experiences, and really just kind of break it down, like what do I do, right? So for example, if you're navigating some complicated situation with a family member, it might be a situation that if you were to run into with somebody who's more of an acquaintance or a stranger, where there's kind of like less connection, less emotion, less history, baggage, less complications, it might be a little bit easier to kind of see like, well, logically and rationally, it doesn't make sense to participate in this behavior, or it doesn't make sense to continue doing things this specific way, and like the easiest way for me to handle this is to just XYZ kind of thing. And so sometimes the most obvious and logical approach doesn't necessarily occur to us because we're kind of caught up in just the complexity of the situation. So I would say that whatever occurs to you in terms of logic and rationality, in terms of developing a plan and kind of like a step-by-step approach to working your way to success or resolution, whatever it is that occurs to you in that sense, I think that's going to be very accurate. That's going to be a very effective way for you to approach the situation and to feel empowered to take action and to trust that you're going to be able to move forward in a way that's going to honor you and the other people around you and kind of bring you closer to whatever outcome you're trying to get to. So it's like, I think you can trust your thoughts. So you might have been in a place where you were lacking self-trust, or perhaps your emotions were kind of spilling over into your logic and maybe making you question yourself and the decisions that you're making. But I feel like this month, really, the power of thought, the power of observation, your problem solving skills are really highlighted. And so I think you're going to have enough clarity that you're going to be able to trust the kind of the answers that are coming to you when you sit down to think about a situation. So structure is really highlighted, your ability to plan, your ability to organize, your ability to kind of like break things down into manageable steps and to make sure that you're starting at the beginning, right? So not thinking so far ahead or overcomplicating things to the point where you start to shut down, but it's kind of recognizing that like having a bigger plan, but is important, but you know, you can only do things like one step at a time. And if you trust your ability to see the situation as it is and to kind of make a plan, then you can trust yourself to invest in each step of kind of following that plan through to completion, giving it your time, attention, and energy, and trusting that that's going to work out for you, right? So I think there's a lot of power in your ability to assess, plan, organize, and execute in a manner that's going to be really efficient, and just trusting your thoughts. And so this is not to say that I must say, like, along with this, that obviously emotion and intuition and all that other kind of stuff plays a very important role in decision making. So thought is highlighted, but it's also important for you to recognize that not everything can be understood and approached from a purely logical and analytical standpoint. So you're not going to solve all of life's problems, and this is not going to be, it's not like a broad brush that you can paint everything with, but it is your strength this month. So I would use that in the ways that it's beneficial to you, in the ways where you maybe need more planning, more structure, more organization, where you need kind of like a plan of attack in order to maybe reduce the stress and the pressure that's on you, so that you've got the tools in place to kind of free up a little bit more of your mental space as well. So you're not constantly kind of like struggling to put the pieces together in the moment. You can kind of plan ahead. That's really highlighted. But it's also recognizing that if you start to get to a point of overthinking, overanalysis, if things are becoming really complex and really kind of overwhelming, if you're getting into analysis paralysis, where the more you think and the more you try to like understand and plan for things, the more complicated and overwhelming things are getting, and you might be actually taking yourself a little bit off track, it's to recognize that if you're in that energy, that overthinking, overanalysis energy is not going to serve you. You're likely to come to faulty conclusions, and that's where that kind of clouded vision and that fear of trusting yourself might come in. So it's to recognize that if you do start to get into that energy, it's okay just to recognize that making a decision and acting on it, it's not necessarily going to serve you. It's more likely to take you kind of off track. So give yourself the opportunity to take a break from your mind, take a break from thought and analysis, get back into your body, reconnect with your senses. So do something creative, exercise, move your body, just give the mind a break. And chances are that kind of reconnecting with yourself and your senses is going to give you that clarity that you're looking for, right? So it's kind of like, as much as thought and analysis and planning and logic and all that kind of like, you know, logical stuff is valued and highlighted and you can make use of it, it's also, you kind of have to stay in your body, keep yourself grounded, and not let yourself get carried away. But I think that's a really promising energy, specifically if you do feel like you've got some stuff that needs to be accomplished, some things that need to be organized, maybe some like some problems that need to be solved. And especially if those situations carry some emotional weight, it's like you can give yourself a little bit of a break from the heaviness, and maybe like making a plan and just having like a course of action is going to help you at least kind of get the ball rolling, especially if it's an overwhelming situation. It might just help kind of like lift that weight a little bit. So we're going to get you some cards for this month. And the tarot cards, as I said, I'm throwing structure to the wind. So I'm just going to pull them. They're going to represent what you need to know, your advice, and I'm just going to read them freely. So your first card for this month is the High Priestess. Oops. Okay, let's see what else there is. Your second card for this month is Strength. So there we go. There's the 8. I'll get you one more. Oh, I actually really love this for you guys. Your third card is the 7 of Wands. Okay, and bottom of the deck, you have the Knight of Wands. So we have a lot of fire energy here, which does not surprise me because Sagittarius, you are a fire sign. We are in Leo season, so that energy is being highlighted, and the fact that Leo is showing up here. So with Leo showing up here, having 8, 44, adding up to 8, this month and Leo season might be a particularly powerful time for you to kind of, I don't know, maybe not even make some big moves, but to really like harness your inner strength, because that's what's highlighted, right? So I'm going to get you some clarifiers, and then we will just do a messy free read of these cards. So we'll clarify the High Priestess first. High Priestess is clarified by the 8 of Wands, more fire energy. Let's clarify the Strength card next. Oh, and there's another 8 too, so that's important. Strength card is clarified by the Ace of Cups. And let's clarify the 7 of Wands. Oh, geez, I just dropped a whole bunch. Okay, let me fix this mess. Okay, clarify 7 of Wands. Oh, interesting. 7 of Wands is clarified by the Unknown card. The Unknown card is unique to this particular deck, the Crystal Visions Tarot. There may be other decks that have a similar kind of card or vibe, but like this, you know, I always say whenever this card comes out, it is meant to come out because it's literally unique to this deck. So that's a cool energy for you guys to have. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Moon. Okay. So I really like this. First off, I like the fact that we've got the Moon and the High Priestess here because it's kind of like very similar energy, right? It's that divine feminine connection to your emotion, your emotional body, your experiences, your intuition, your subconscious, the way that you kind of process information and receive intuitive insight and wisdom, kind of like connection to the more spiritual side of life and channeling that information to help you take action in the physical world. So it's very interesting, the combination here. So the Knight of Wands and the Moon at the bottom of the deck, because the Knight of Wands is very much about embracing your free spirit, embracing your passion, your creativity, giving yourself permission to express yourself authentically without fear, without reservation, kind of dancing to the beat of your own drum, shining your own light, and trusting that not only is that going to help you connect more to your own energy and move in a path that's going to be beneficial to you, but it's also going to shine that light for other people who are interested in connecting with that energy, who are kind of mirroring that same kind of energy. So the feeling that I get is like, this is very much a soul tribe kind of energy. And you might have to start by, you know, shining that light and you kind of make it okay for other people. It's like radical self-acceptance and confidence and just being who you are. And for that to come up with the moon is all about our subconscious, our intuitions, our emotions, the things that are kind of hidden under the surface that aren't necessarily readily apparent. It can also have to do with our fears, the things that feel unstable or dangerous. It's kind of like, you can see that all the phases of the moon here, right? So it's also about the cycles that we go through emotionally, intuitively, physically, and how that's kind of connected to our intuition, our divine essence. And it's being able to tap into that power and also recognize that there is the possibility for it to inform fear and illusion. And so the only way that we can kind of take our power back is to allow those kind of shadows to be illuminated. And by doing that, we kind of take away the power that they have over us in terms of fear or shadow. But it's also kind of integrating both of those. So yeah, it's like there may have been fear about accepting yourself, expressing yourself, just being truly authentic. And it's kind of like maybe you're coming into a new level of acceptance. And maybe that has something to do with this kind of divine feminine energy, right? So that's kind of like the underlying energy. But the thing that I'm getting here is like, this is very much about your empowerment, because clarifying cards aside, even with the bottom of the deck, these are all very strong, very empowered feminine energies. And Leo is a masculine energy, but you know, obviously we've got a female on the card, so that's why I'm saying this. But this is all about you knowing what's best for you, right? And you may have a tendency to question yourself, to overanalyze, maybe to kind of disconnect yourself from your intuition. And so this is recognizing that your intuitive awareness, your ability to survey your landscape, to kind of sense what other people are thinking, what their motivations are, to sense, you know, what direction you're being called in. It's recognizing that you have so much access to that intuitive ability, and to kind of feel your way through things, that you don't need to doubt yourself, right? You don't need to overthink. You can harness the power of your ability to kind of observe and to draw conclusions and to make a plan and to take action in a logical way, because you also have the ability to function on an intuitive level. And you're not, it's like bringing that into balance, right? The more that you trust that you have access to that kind of intuitive spiritual side and like knowing what's best for you, and kind of following your heart and being empowered to do things in a way that makes sense to you, the more that you're able to make use of logic in a solely logical way. And you're not going to try to logic yourself out of emotion. You're not going to try to logic your way out of intuition. You're not going to try to convince yourself of truths that are not true for you. It's like the more that you connect with your intuition and know your truth, know your worth, know your value, and follow your path in an authentic way, the easier it is to use logic and rationality and planning in the way that it's meant to, right? It's not meant to box you in or to disconnect you from your passion or your creativity or your intuition or your emotions. It's meant to be a tool to help you solve problems, to help you, move toward your goal. And so it's kind of like, I see that you may be coming into a point where you're not trying to apply logic and planning and like that kind of very rational black and white approach to everything in your life, but it's recognizing that there are specific situations where it really can help you, and it can actually help be a vehicle for forward movement and still be inspired by your creativity and your passion, the things that light you up and are important to you, the things that you want to achieve, and that intuitive awareness in terms of like where your place is, what's best for you, what you want. So this is like a very empowered energy of like, I think you know what's best for you. I think you have intuitive awareness, and it's just like coming into like having the courage to do what you know is right for you and what you know is best for you, to not participate in things that are going to be disempowering, to not give away your power, to not agree to things that make you feel small or that don't align with your energy and your vision. It's recognizing that like you deserve to hold the line, right? And to hold your vision, and you don't need to spend your time overthinking and overanalyzing and trying to justify the things that you already know to be true. You need to use your logic and your thought to help you find solutions to those kind of simple, obvious problems, right? So I really, really like that, because the High Priestess, like I said, it's all about that kind of divine feminine energy. It's like that inner wisdom, your inner light, your inner knowing. It can be psychic awareness, spiritual gifts, using that information and kind of being willing to follow the path that makes sense to you. And this is also connected with the Eight of Wands. It's a very fast moving, very passionate, very inspired and direct kind of approach. So it could be that you're in a position where you have to really just start communicating like what you know to be true, whether or not you can validate that in a logical or rational or analytical way. And especially if you have to communicate that to someone else who maybe doesn't see it the way that you see it, it's like what you know to be true is true for you, right? And so when you need to speak your truth and when you need to stand up for what you know is right, you have to be confident and you have to be strong and you have to just put it all on the line, I think. Because regardless of how somebody else receives it or what else they think about it, it's true for you, right? And so it's kind of like someone else's response is not going to make it less true, make the situation less true for you, right? So it's kind of like recognizing that to charge forward in the direction that makes sense because you know who you are, you know what's important to you, you know what you need to be doing. It's more like having the courage to act on that and to put that out there, to communicate that and to move forward in that direction. It's not a matter of your mind being changed. It's a matter of you being your authentic self and recognizing the people who are willing to value you and respect you will kind of come along for the ride and they'll support you, and the people that don't align may not hang around. But it's recognizing like you're not going to overanalyze and think your way out of your intuition. It's like that is your gift, and you can be empowered to find like a logical solution for, you know, the smaller scale problems and in terms of situations where structure and organization and having a plan of attack is going to serve you, and still allow yourself the freedom of connecting to your own spirit and kind of forging your own path. Because yeah, like I think maybe you've been underestimating your strength, and particularly when it comes to love and happiness and fulfillment. And I want to say that there is a new opportunity to connect with love, or like either like a new opportunity for love, a new take on love, a renewal in an existing love, whether that's a romantic relationship, friendship, soulmate. But it also, with the Ace of Cups being here, it very much has to do with you, your love for yourself, your relationship to yourself. And the other cool thing is that, you know, we've got all the phases of the moon here. So it might be helpful for you. You might be somebody who feels connected to the moon, the cycles of the moon, perhaps manifesting and taking time to reflect with the moon might be something that's helpful for you, especially this month. But yeah, there's an opportunity here, and it's recognizing that in order to fully take advantage of this renewal in love and this opportunity to connect with a new level of love and acceptance, you know, respect for yourself, to grant yourself that kindness and compassion, to invest in yourself and fill your cup first so that you can have you know, kind of like an abundance to share with people. It's that you have to have the strength to you have to recognize and allow yourself the courage to prioritize yourself and to do what's right for you, to put yourself first. You know, you don't need to be selling yourself short. You don't need to be trying to please other people. This month is all about you. And especially if you're somebody that has a tendency to focus most of your energy on other people or external situations and kind of like keeping things in check for other people, it's like this month is for you. This month is for you to recognize like you're working with a lot. Like, you're working with a lot of passion, you're working with a lot of inspiration, a lot of intuitive wisdom. You've got the strength to kind of allow yourself to be moved by that and to maybe take action in a way that you haven't taken action before. But it could be a challenge, right? Like, yeah, this month might be, you might be needing to show up, like really show up, like really share your voice, share your vision, share what you know to be true, stand up for yourself, not to kind of like dampen yourself, not to kind of try and meet people where they want to be met or tell people what they want to hear or conform to kind of like their ideas. This is very much about like, I think you know what's right, you know what's healthy, you know what you need, you know the direction you want to be going in, and maybe you've just been kind of choking that back because you're afraid that it's not going to be accepted by other people, because perhaps you feel like love is conditional. Maybe the love that you were raised with, maybe you weren't demonstrated unconditional love, so it's difficult for you to grant that to yourself. Maybe you're afraid that you're only lovable if you're showing up as the lamb and not the lion, like, I'm not sure how that might make sense for you, but it's recognizing that you are worthy, you are valuable, you know what you want and what you need, and you deserve to take action in your life toward that. You deserve to represent that honestly and confidently, and to trust that love will come to you. Like, speaking your truth, doing what's right for you, that is an act of self-love. That's recognizing I know who I am and what I want, and I honor myself by putting that out there. And it's recognizing that even if the people around you might not receive it well or might not agree with it, by loving yourself in that way and allowing yourself to be authentically you and to move in the direction that feels right for you, you're loving yourself on a deeper level and filling your cup and doing what is going to kind of allow you to connect with more love. And then that's going to draw in people who are on that level. Or if you're already with people, like with somebody that you can connect with on that level, it might just be helping them connect to that energy too, to get in, setting the example and letting them get into that space so that you can come together and experience that renewal and love from both sides, right? And the thing that I'm seeing here is that, like, if you're somebody who overanalyzes or who has a tendency to doubt themselves, I think this month is very much about, like, recognizing your worth, recognizing your vision, recognizing your power, standing your ground, doing what makes sense for you, and trusting that that is a loving thing to do and that only good things will come of that. Even if it feels difficult or counterintuitive in terms of how you've learned to love yourself or how you've learned to receive love from other people, it's recognizing that you're already in a position, you've already kind of won, right? Like, you are already in a really solid position, and anything that's coming to knock you down, anything that's coming at you in terms of criticism, challenges, maybe people kind of like trying to knock you off your game, it's recognizing that things can only knock you off your balance if you let them. And it's recognizing that because you're already in an advantageous position, because you've already got this power and this vision and you're in a good spot to do what's right for you. The only way that you're not going to follow through with that is if you let somebody else convince you that you shouldn't, or if you let somebody else make you feel small. Because it's recognizing that anything that's coming and poking at you, anything that's wearing you down, anything that's kind of like shaking your confidence, or that is critical or disempowering, or that just doesn't feel aligned with what you know to be true for you from like a heart-centered place, it's that that's coming at you from a position that's below you. So it's kind of like it doesn't actually have the power to knock you off balance. So if you can just stay focused on yourself, this inner flame, this inner knowing, that passion, being yourself and doing your own thing and trusting that that's going to take you in the direction you need to go, you don't need to worry about anything that's coming at you and that's poking at you, because it can only knock you off your balance if you look down and like occupy yourself with it, right? Like if you allow it to introduce doubt. So yeah, I very much see you kind of getting into your personal power, getting into your strength, finding your center, finding your calm from an emotional and intuitive standpoint, and belief in yourself and your worth, like really just getting into this solid spot. Like this is very much like unfuckwithable. Like nobody can mess you. Nobody's going to convince you otherwise. Nobody's going to knock you off your game. You know what's right. You can trust your rational, logical mind and analysis because you've got all this other stuff in balance, right? You've got the intuitive side in balance. You've got the emotional side in balance. And not that everything is perfect, but I think you can trust yourself this month. And with the 7 of Wands, so this card of being like kind of having your balance, having your safe space that you can come back to regardless of what's going on outside of you, regardless of what's going on in your relationships, what you're being told, what kind of roadblocks or challenges might be kind of in your external environment. It's like having that core connection to yourself, your inner knowing, your inner peace, your sense of self-worth that is unshakable. Then it's like you don't have to worry about what's going on outside of you. And for that to come up, the clarifier being the unknown card, it could be that, it could be that whatever challenges surround you, like maybe you're not quite sure where you're headed, maybe you're not quite sure how things are going to pan out, how love is going to progress. Like I'm not really sure, but it's kind of like, this is basically saying like whatever is unknown right now is not meant to be known. The reason that there's a question mark, the reason that there's no clarity is because, things are still working out. Things are still unfolding. You don't have the information that you need in order to kind of understand the bigger picture. And it's kind of being able to surrender to that. So it's recognizing you have the knowledge, the strength, the awareness that you need to make empowered decisions that are going to be good for you, and your thinking, your analysis, your planning is going to be highlighted. But yeah, like I said, not everything can be understood and solved from a logical standpoint. So anything this month that's still a question mark, that's still unknown, that's still kind of weighing on you, it's just not tying yourself up in over analysis or overthinking, and accepting like if you don't have clarity on it this month, that's okay, right? You have clarity where you're meant to have it, so you can take action in the way that you're meant to. And anything that's still kind of a big question mark, it's just allow yourself to surrender and know that the only things that are going to be unclear are things that are just not meant to be understood quite yet. So there might be experiences or conversations or knowledge that you have yet to come into contact with that will help you do what you need to do. And so it's just, allowing yourself to kind of settle into, you have the power to handle the things that are clear, that you've got clarity on. Anything that you don't have clarity on, it's okay to just wait and not to beat yourself up about it, however that makes sense. And so now I'll take a moment to share your channeled messages with you. The first message that came through was Hot Mess Express. So it's kind of like the sense of feeling inadequate, maybe like your fears or insecurities, feeling a little bit disorganized or overwhelmed. And the thing that I will say in relation to that is that, you are more than just what you can do, how you show up in the physical world, what you can accomplish. So your worth and your value does not hinge on your ability to control and to execute things perfectly or to have everything perfectly organized, right? You can use your logic and analysis to kind of plan in ways that make your life easier, but that's not where your value lies. Your value is in this energy right here. Like this is some boss energy. And it's recognizing that that's more important. That's more important than your ability to handle all of your earthly tasks, you're bigger than your circumstances. The next message that came through was everything's going to be all right. And it made me think of that song, Everything's Gonna Be All Right, Rockabye. I think it's called, I Googled it. It's called Lullaby by Sean Mullins. So it's like a song from the 90s. You may have a connection to that song already. That might have some significance to you. I don't know. But I definitely recommend that you Google it, take a listen, check out the lyrics, see how that might resonate with you. But at the very least, it's like kind of like a reminder. It's a validation that like, you know what's best for you. You can do what's best, even if it's hard, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if you got to kind of dig deep and connect with a new level of self-love to help you do what's right for you. It's like things are going to work out. Everything will be all right. And you can trust your ability to kind of analyze and take action this month. And then the next message that came through was the sun shines every day, whether you see it or not. Right? So it's like, even if it's a cloudy, awful day, the sun is still shining. It's just behind the clouds. So the same thing with you. It's like your light is always there. It's always within you. Even if situations or feelings or experiences make you feel like your light is being dimmed, it's still there. It's still shining, whether it's readily apparent or not. And it's recognizing that like that, it's like that's the flame that kind of ignites you, right? So not to be too hard on yourself if you are having kind of a low day. And then the last message that came through, which is kind of like a bonus, is you are worthy, period. So like, no question. You are inherently worthy. You are human because you're here. You are worthy of all of the good things. You don't have to be a certain way or accomplish a certain thing or do something to make yourself worthy of your own love. You're just worthy as you are. So this is like, yeah, it's just connecting to your power. Okay, so we're going to get you affirmations. I welcome miracles into my life. So yeah, focusing on the things that feel magical, that feel kind of inspired, could be synchronicities, whatever it is, anything that feels like a miracle, right? And maybe appreciating, taking time to recognize that kind of miraculous energy. And I am at peace with my past. Yep, so there might be some like past situations, healing that's going on, maybe kind of like reconciliation. That could also be like in terms of thinking and having that clarity. It could be kind of finding ways to recognize like things that have happened in the past, how they've impacted you, and what you can do to kind of take steps forward in a direction that's going to be more beneficial to you, making a plan. Okay, Sagittarius, we're going to get you one final oracle card to tie this reading together. This is just going to be your kind of final piece of advice for this month. Okay. So you got answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? So I will say that that's very much aligned with this Knight of Wands, even this High Priestess, and the Strength card is all about having the courage and recognizing your inner strength and your ability to be your authentic self, to step out of doubt and fear, and to follow and answer the callings of your soul and not to be knocked off course. So that's a very fitting card. So I'm just going to read it directly from the book. So answer the call. Your guidance is divinely guided. That is this. You're being called to answer the call of your soul. It might be scary, it might not make sense, but if you trust your soul's yearnings, you will live a life beyond what your mind could possibly imagine. Answering your soul's calling is not a one-time thing, but rather a lifelong dance. Deep down, you already know what you long for and what your soul yearns for. Whatever you are called to do, that is your calling. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for permission. Just say yes. Most people are waiting for a step-by-step plan before they take the first step, but intuition doesn't work like that. It takes faith and courage to answer the calls of your soul. And that's why most people don't do it. But you are not most people. You are in exactly the right place to answer your calling now. You don't need the whole plan. You don't even need to know where it is leading. You just need to take the next step. No one has ever had the complete, perfect plan. There is no end destination. There is no right or wrong way to do it, and you do not need permission from anyone else. Sometimes the more resistance we have around answering a soul calling, the more important it is to our soul's growth. And then your inquiry is, what is your soul calling you to do? So I think that's a really lovely way to kind of sum that up. And it's like, with the thinker card and trusting your ability to be logical and analytical, I think it maybe some of the clarity that you have is recognizing when it's a time to use logic and analysis and to make a plan and to take action, and when you have to do things in a more intuitive way and trust your ability to kind of take action as you're called to. So yeah, you might be finding your balance between like logic and intuition, and being able to really harness and make those two kind of opposing energies work for you in harmony. So yeah, it's recognizing when that logic, analysis, planning is going to benefit you, how to make that work for you, and to kind of prevent yourself from falling into the trap of overthinking and overanalysis, which can disconnect you from your intuition, cause you to fall into fear and doubt, and make you kind of overlook that courage and that ability that you have to really forge your own path and do what makes sense to you. So I really love how that's all come together for you, Sagittarius. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, the best way to support me is to like this video on YouTube. Of course, leave me a comment. If there's anyone that you could think of that might enjoy my readings, you can recommend my channel or forward my content to them. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot, and ensure you're not only subscribed to my channel, but sign up for notifications, and that will keep you up to date. I'm hoping maybe this month I can do a mid-month check-in. So we'll see how that goes. But regardless, thank you for being here and sharing this time and space. It's a pleasure to read for you. And whether I connect with you again this month or it's not until next month's reading, I am very much looking forward to it. And in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.